Hi, it's me, Jacqueline. Welcome to my channel. If you are new to the channel, then please subscribe to my channel and join me at Patreon. Link in the description. Masumi looked at Miyuki, then at Alice, and said, "You sure opened up your life story to us. You're good friends. And Penny doesn't mind telling anyone." Masumi again looked at Miyuki, this time with a questioning look, and Miyuki nodded yes. And then said, "Well, I guess we should tell you our little secret." "You too have a secret?" "Yes, almost as good as yours." "Go on." "Miyuki isn't really Miyuki. She is really Mike, the twins' father and my husband." "No way." "Yes, she is really a he. And I'm not a lesbian." And Masumi went on to tell Alice, Faye, and Penny the story behind Miyuki. When she was done, the three sat there, looked at Miyuki, and shook their heads. Faye finally said, "Miyuki, there's no way that anyone could tell that you're not a real girl. You're just so natural." Miyuki blushed a little and said, "Thank you." Masumi worked very hard on getting just the right look. "Your voice is so beautiful, and the little bit of Japanese accent is perfect." Alice added, "Have you ever thought of going full-time?" "We've tossed the idea around." Masumi a little more than I. "It would be interesting, but my job. I don't think my job would like the idea." Masumi smiled at this, with a little twinkle in her eye. "What do you do?" "I have one of those jobs, that if I told you what I did, I'd have to kill you," Miyuki said with a little laugh. "I should have guessed. It's Washington." The girls continued their visit, and Miyuki got Penny to talk about what it was like to live full-time as a girl. And when all was said, Miyuki readily admitted that she really loved being her feminine self, that it felt so natural, and that if there was any way that she could live as a woman full-time, she would. It was well after midnight when Alice, Faye, and Penny decided it was time to go. There was the usual hugs and kisses. And Penny, while giving Miyuki a hug, whispered, "If you can do it, do it. You are so gorgeous. You should have been born a girl." Miyuki gave Penny an extra hug. Masumi and Miyuki checked on the twins before turning in themselves. They looked like two angels. As they were getting into bed, Masumi asked Mike, "Did you mean what you said?" "Mean what?" "That you would live as a woman full-time if you could?" "Maybe. I'd like to try it. It really does feel right when I'm dressed as Miyuki. I don't want to become a woman, but living as one." At this point, Masumi kissed Mike, and they didn't get to sleep for about another hour. The assignment. One Friday afternoon, shortly after Mike's dad had died, and he was back at work, he was called into Mr. Warner's office. When he arrived, there were two people in the office, Mr. Warner and Mr. Takahashi. As he walked in the door, Mr. Warner said, "You remember Mr. Takahashi, don't you, Mike?" "Of course," Mike said, as he turned and bowed to Mr. Takahashi and continued, "Dozo yo aroshiku, Takahashi-sama. Jank desu. Nice to meet you again, Mr. Takahashi. How are you?" "I'm fine, Mike," Mr. Takahashi said in English, "and it's good to see you again." "Let's speak English so we can include Mr. Warner." "I'm sorry. It's just a habit. I speak Japanese around Masumi all the time." "That's all right, Mike," Mr. Warner said. "Have a seat." Mr. Warner sat behind his large oak desk, piled with file folders. Mike and Mr. Takahashi sat in leather, padded chairs. Mr. Warner picked up one folder, opened it, quickly glanced at it, and said, "Mike, you're still cross-dressing as Miyuki, aren't you?" A little nervously, Mike said, "Yes, sir." "Good. Good, sir." "Yes. There is a small problem at the Japanese embassy, and they have asked for our help." "Small problem?" "I can't go into details right now, but we need to place someone inside the embassy that won't raise any suspicion. And you came to mind. Everyone remembered that you presented as a very proper Japanese girl." "Me, sir?" "Well, more Miyuki than you." "Miyuki?" "Yes. We need a girl inside." "But why not a real girl? We need someone that is trained like you are. Someone that can handle themselves in many different ways, in many different situations. And there isn't anyone in the organization that meets the requirements, except you as Miyuki. It has to be a girl, to fit into the area in the embassy where the problem is." This has been going on for a long time. The Japanese have tried for a couple of years to break it, but haven't been able to. This has been in the planning for a long time, hasn't it, sir? Yes, Mike. When we found out that you were a crossdresser, a good crossdresser, and as a Japanese girl to boot. And after we met you at Dr. Ruth's party, we knew we had the person we needed, if we need you. And now we need you. I see. With Mr. Takahashi here, I figure that it's not only important to our country, but to his. And that it's very serious. Very good, Mike. Mr. Takahashi said, very serious is an understatement. We have tried and tried to ferret this out and haven't been able to. So, we've come to you as a last resort. What's involved? Mr. Warner handed Mike a folder with some paper inside and said, read this. Mike took a few minutes to read over the papers, handed them back, and said, this must be really serious if we need to go to all this. Mr. Warner just shook his head yes. This is a real big step. I'll have to talk to Masumi about it. I understand. And that's fine. But don't go into too much detail. And I need an answer on Monday morning. Yes, sir. Mike got up, shook hands with both men, and left the office. Mr. Takahashi said to Mr. Warner, I hope he will do this. He's our only hope. I think he will. I have some good information on him. Mike took a long walk after the meeting. Just to think. That evening, Mike became Miyuki and she was very quiet at dinner. Masumi knew that she would tell her what was going on when she was ready. They put the twins to bed around 8, sat in the living room, and Masumi cuddled up with Miyuki. Finally, Miyuki said, I had a meeting with Mr. Warner this afternoon. And an old friend was there. Who? Mr. Takahashi. Mr. Takahashi? Yes. There is a problem at the Japanese embassy that they have asked us to help with. Must be serious to ask your department to help. Yes. And it's been going on for a couple of years, and they haven't been able to solve it. So, they asked us to put someone inside, undercover. Masumi looked at Miyuki a little puzzled and said, inside? Undercover? Yes. With a knowing look, Masumi asked, and just who are they thinking of using? Me. You? But you're not. At that point, Masumi realized what Miyuki was getting at, and added, they want you to go undercover as Miyuki? Yes. For how long? For as long as it takes. How long could that be? The Japanese have been working on this for a couple of years. You're saying that they want you to go undercover for who knows how long? Yes. Why can't they use someone else? Like a real girl. I asked that same question. They told me that they needed someone with my talents. And there wasn't a girl in the department that could handle it without a year or more of training, and none of them are Japanese. They need a female that could fit into the Japanese embassy, and the only person they have is me as Miyuki. Also, this had been planned for a long time. It goes back to the party at Dr. Ruth's. That's why Mr. Warner and Mr. Takahashi were there. Masumi sat there for a long time without saying anything. She then looked at Miyuki and said, you're not Japanese and you're not a girl. There's more, isn't there? Yes. What? They want me to be able to pass without question. Without all the taping and makeup. And what do they want you to do? Have some surgery. Not a sex change. No. Not that far. Well, how far? They want me to have breast implants, hair removal, and some facial work. So, that I look like a Japanese girl. Masumi again became quiet for a long time. Then asked, how do you feel about this? I'm not really sure. I need to sleep on it. But I figure that they wouldn't ask me to do all this if it wasn't very important. And yes, I remember saying that I would jump at a chance to live full-time as a woman. But I'm not sure about the surgery. Sleeping on it would be a good thing, Masumi said, as she got up, took Miyuki's hand, and led her to the bedroom. The next morning Miyuki was up early. She hadn't slept well. She was sitting at the kitchen table when Masumi walked in, sat next to her, and said, didn't sleep well, did you, honey? No. Too much on my mind. I know. It's a big decision. How do you really feel about it? I've always had a thing for when you're dressed as a girl. It's been a big turn-on for me. I think you know that. How would I feel if you looked and felt like a girl all the time? I could handle it if you could. I know that you are fragile. I saw that when your dad died. My concern is how you would handle it. I love you so much. I think that I can handle it. It wouldn't be a complete lifestyle change. I'm Miyuki most of the time when I'm home. It would just change to full-time. The children are fine with Aunt Me. I guess sometime we will have to really explain it to them. How my mom will take to it, we'll have to find out. As well as everyone else. And I guess if it doesn't work out, I can have most of the work reversed. Maybe. If you go through with the surgery, where will it be done? In California. California? Yes. According to what I read, the department has done this before for various reasons. And they have a cosmetic surgeon in California that does fantastic work. Do you know his name? Yes. But it's a she. Let's see what we can find on the internet. They brought up a search engine and typed in the doctor's name. The browser came up with a large number of hits for her name, one being her home page. They spent some time reading over her website, reading the testimonials, looking at the pictures. They read in detail about the facial feminization surgery and breast augmentation surgery. This gave them both a good insight as to what would happen. Masumi asked, "What do you think?" I think that I can do it. It would just bring out Miyuki more. It sounds a little painful, but if she can really do what was shown in the pictures, then I can do it. Bring out Miyuki more. That is an understatement. What do you think your mom will say? Let's call her and find out. Miyuki picked up the phone and called her mom. She decided to use Mike's voice as she explained what was proposed by her department and as much as possible why. She told her mom that she and Masumi had really talked it over and researched it, and that Masumi was behind her completely. Her mom was worried about the surgery and the twins. After she hung up, she sat back and sighed. Masumi sat next to her and stroked her hair. Finally, Miyuki said, I could tell that she was crying softly after I told her. But later she told me that she understood how I felt about being a girl and what the department was asking of me. She also said that she would support any decision that we made. And if we decided to go through with this, that she wanted us to leave the twins with her while we were in California. Masumi just cuddled up next to Miyuki and said, Your mother is a wonderful person. They kissed. The rest of Saturday went as normal, grocery shopping, the twins to the park for playtime, and quiet time just before dinner. After dinner, the twins watched a movie, and Miyuki and Masumi sat in the living room and read. Nothing more was said about the proposal until Sunday night. They were laying in bed, and Masumi asked, You've been fairly quiet this weekend. Been thinking a lot. Haven't you? Yes. I'm just not 100% sure. I just really don't know. Can I tell you something? Sure. Masumi, looking Mike directly into his eyes, started, I love you as Mike. I love you as Michelle. I love you as Miyuki. Remember who really brought out your feminine side. I really love that part of you, and it's been a turn on for me. I've also seen it bring out something special in you. And I love that too. Can I still love you if you look like a girl? Yes. Why? Because I love you, the person. Looks are not important. It's what's inside that counts the most. Do I care if people look at us as a lesbian couple? No. It's fun to let them think that and really no different. And we've put up that front before and been accepted. Do I care if you make love to me looking like a girl? No. Do I care what other people think? No. What I want is what you want. If you want to go through the surgery and then spend the rest of our lives being Miyuki, I'd love it. If you don't, then I'll love that too. I don't know if I'm confusing the issue, but I guess what I'm saying is that I love you, and I'll stand behind you no matter what. Now, don't say a word, just make love to me. On Monday morning, Masumi could tell that Mike had made a decision. He looked like a heavy weight had been lifted from his shoulders. She said, I think you've made a decision. Care to share? He looked at her, smiled, and said, After our little talk, or should I say your little talk, last night, yes, I've made a decision. You helped me decide. I'm going to go through with the surgery, as long as you promise to always love me. She looked at him, threw her arms around him, and kissed him. When they broke the kiss, she looked at him and said, Honey, you know I'll always love you. When Mike arrived at work, he went directly to Mr. Warner's office and told him of the decision. Mr. Warner told Mike that everyone there would be told that he was on a special assignment, and most people knew what that meant. Mr. Warner then handed him a packet of information and said, "You will find everything you need to know, for right now, in here, including complete information for the doctor in California, a department credit card to use while you are there, and to purchase airline tickets for you and Masumi. Make reservations at any hotel you wish. You will probably be there for 2 weeks. The first thing you need to do is send, by email, photos of you as Mike and Miyuki to the doctor. She is expecting them. The information on what type of pictures is in the packet. Then when you are back and completely healed, call me and we'll set up a meeting." You don't know how much this means. Mike took a quick look at the packet and noticed that the surgery was scheduled for this Friday. He looked at Mr. Warner and said, "You knew I was going to accept, didn't you? I took a gamble that you would." Mike got up, shook Mr. Warner's hand, and said, or should I say Miyuki, "we'll see you in a few weeks. Good luck, Mike. If you need anything, you know my secure phone number." Mike walked out of Mr. Warner's office and to his supervisors. His supervisor knew a little about what was going on, well, at least that Mike was on a special assignment. Mike turned over everything he was working on, received a good luck talk and a handshake. He then removed the few personal things from his desk and headed home after saying goodbye to a few people. When Mike got home, Masumi was feeding the twins lunch. He sat down, helped her, then put them down for a nap. He showed her the packet that Mr. Warner had given him, and she read everything carefully. Finally, she looked up and said, "Friday." "Yes." "Kind of quick." "It may be better that way." "Yes." "Less time to think about it. Why don't you get the digital camera and we'll take those pictures. I'll meet you in the bedroom." Over the next hour or so, they took the pictures. First of Mike and then Miyuki, and sent them off to the doctor. They also called Mike's mom and told her of the plans and that they would drive in on Wednesday to drop off the twins and take an early Thursday flight to California. Please subscribe for the next part and visit my Patreon page for early access.